Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us for the I-376 Commercial Street Bridge Replacement Public Meeting. We'd first like to begin the presentation with some opening remarks from the PennDOT District 11 Executive, Jason Zhang.
Okay, thanks, Yaz. Get going here. Appreciate everybody attending. My name's Jason Zhang. As Yaz said, I'm the District Executive for PennDOT District 11. Appreciate everybody being here tonight to talk about the construction phase of the Commercial Street Bridge Replacement Project. This is one of the most complex and important project investments in the Western Pennsylvania area, specifically the city of Pittsburgh, and for everyone that's traveling to and from points east of the city on the Parkway East. And just to clarify, the design of the project is complete. The project has been bid out, awarded, and we have our construction team on board to build this important bridge. Now, it's important to note that the existing bridge has been serving the community since around 1950. It's undergone several rehabilitation and strengthening projects over the years, but has reached the end of its useful life and it needs completely replaced. Carrying 100,000 vehicles every single day with heavy use of corrosive salts in the wintertime to keep everybody safe does take its toll on the bridge. So one of the most important things that we do here at PennDOT on all of our projects is to build them in a way to minimize impacts to you, our customers, maximize your safety, and also the men and women that are on site every single day to build the bridge that will serve many generations to come. We believe that building the new bridge beside the existing and sliding into place over a 3 to 4 week parkway closure the summer of 2026 will do just that. This is a very ambitious and complex endeavor, and we are excited to construct it this way. This will eliminate the need for 4+ years of long-term lane closures and restrictions on the parkway. But there's still much to do before the actual bridge slide takes place, and there will still be times where we are going to have to restrict or close the parkway to accomplish our work. Tonight, we have members of our construction team on the line to provide as much information here today to make sure everyone understands what those impacts will be and how to get continuous updates about the project as we move forward. And I assure you that we will make every effort to coordinate our work with the surrounding communities, the public officials and stakeholders, and ensure everyone is aware of exactly what will be happening and when. So before I turn it over to our next presenter, John Myler, he's our assistant construction engineer in charge of the project. I do want to thank you all for your understanding and your patience as we work through the challenging project that this is. We are very thankful for the funding and the investment that is making this project possible and ensuring that the Parkway East continues to serve the many people that use it every day for many more years to come. Thank you. And with that, I'll turn it over to John. Go ahead, John. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason, and thank you everyone for attending today. My name is John Myler. I'm a Senior Assistant Construction Manager with PennDOT District 11, and I will be overseeing this project throughout construction to ensure it's built properly to our standards and specifications. I also want to introduce you to two other speakers you'll be hearing from today. We have Nick Burdett with HDR, our designer of record for the project. Nick's been involved in this project from the beginning, and he will continue to be involved throughout construction to answer any questions or concerns we may have when we're actually constructing the project related to the design details. You will also be hearing from Michelle Olszewski. She's with S&B USA, who's our prime contractor for the project. Michelle will be giving you some more specific details about the construction activities that will take place on the project and the timeline and schedule for what those will be throughout the project. Regarding Microsoft Teams Live navigation, there are three main settings to understand while using Microsoft Teams Live: the Q&A, closed captions, and the Live button. The Q&A button can be found in the upper right-hand corner of your screen. Throughout the presentation, feel free to ask the project team questions and like other questions that are posted. We will review all the questions and respond during the Q&A portion of the public meeting. Regarding closed captions, you can turn on and off closed captions using the button in the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Again, please note this meeting is being recorded and will be posted on the PennDOT District 11 project website for you to view at your leisure. If you have any technical issues or questions, please ask them in the Q&A section, and our project team will try and assist you the best they can. Just want to take a moment here to revisit some project details, including our project team. So our designer of record is HDR. Our prime contractor is S&B USA. For construction management and inspection support, we have Michael Baker International. And our project is being funded 100% by the Federal Highway Administration. Here's our agenda for today. Give you a little insight into what to expect throughout the presentation. Start out with the location of the project, then move into some history of the existing structure and options to rehab, replace it, and ultimately where we ended up with the replacement details and how that will transpire throughout the life of the project. What kind of impacts will be experienced, whether that's traffic on the Parkway or Commercial Street, or visitors to Frick Park below through the trails, disturbances, earth disturbances, and ultimate final restoration of the site when the project is done. And also the local communities and what they'll be experiencing with day and night work and operations. The contractor FAE will be presenting on their construction phasing and how the project will lay out over the next several years, and some of the access that they'll have to the project site as well. And then lastly, we'll open it up to the question and answer portion of the presentation. Hopefully you've been entering questions throughout the presentation that we will have some to address at the end. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nick Burdett to get into the project location.
As I'm sure many of you are aware, the Commercial Street Bridge is located on the Parkway East in the city of Pittsburgh. The project location, as shown here on this map, is just between the Squirrel Hill Tunnels and the Braddock Avenue interchange. As you can see from this image, the existing bridge is a concrete arch bridge that spans across Frick Park. It's located very close to the Squirrel Hill Tunnel, Walnut Towers, the former Irish Center property, and the Somerset at Frick townhomes, all called out in this slide. I'll just provide a brief overview of the existing structure and why it's being replaced as part of this project. So the existing 3-span concrete arch bridge that you can see here was completed in 1951, making it 73 years old. The structure carries the interstate with approximately 100,000 vehicles per day crossing the bridge. The bridge cannot carry permit loads on the interstate, so it's a real limiting factor for permit loads on this major route. Due to its age, deterioration is accelerating and recurring maintenance costs are getting prohibitive. The existing Commercial Street Bridge was built between 1948 and 1951. In the year 2000, it was deemed individually eligible for listing in the National Register of Historic Places by the Pennsylvania Historical and Museum Commission. And the reason it was listed was for its technological significance and aesthetic design. As a result, PennDOT has closely coordinated the proposed bridge replacement with the State Historic Preservation Office and other consulting parties. PennDOT has also coordinated with the city of Pittsburgh for tree restoration, and our project team has developed a landscape plan to ensure that Frick Park's setting is enhanced by the project. Finally, PennDOT has collaborated with the Department of Environmental Protection throughout design and will continue to do so during construction to make sure that required earth disturbance and stream encroachment mitigation measures are implemented to maintain and enhance the environmental quality of the stream and the surrounding areas. As the team began to look at replacement of this significant structure, limiting impacts to traffic during construction was, of course, very high on our list. About 100,000 vehicles a day use the bridge, and how to limit impacts was a key consideration. In the end, the team looked at two different construction methods. We looked at staged construction as well as slide-in construction. The idea with staged construction is building the new bridge in partial widths and shifting some traffic onto the bridge as we build it. So for example, we might build a third of the new bridge next to the existing bridge, then demolish half the existing bridge. We then build another third of the new bridge, demolish the rest of the existing bridge, and finally complete the new bridge with another third of width. As you can imagine, this required a great deal of shifting traffic and years of impacts to traffic. On the other hand, we looked at sliding a new bridge in. In this scenario, a new bridge would be built south of the existing bridge, fully constructed on temporary foundations, and then during a full closure of the interstate, the existing bridge would be demolished and the new bridge slid into place. Ultimately, this is the method that we decided on. In addition to the slide-in method, we evaluated a total of 6 different bridge alternates. Based on strong public desire to maintain an open arched appearance and the need to be able to slide a bridge in, we ultimately selected this arched delta frame structure for the replacement bridge. I'll now say a little bit more about the slide-in construction method to help understand this method. So as I mentioned, a determination was made to proceed with a slide-in construction methodology. And really that was the overwhelming preference based on public input received through public and stakeholder coordination meetings in November of 2019, as well as input received through approximately 200 responses to an online survey in early 2020. It was decided to move forward with the slide-in method because of its lesser overall impact to parkway travel patterns and associated traffic disruptions. So, to walk you through highlights of the slide-in construction method, the first step is to build the new bridge, shown here in blue, completely on temporary foundations south of the existing bridge, while 2 lanes of traffic are maintained in both directions on the existing bridge. Once the new bridge is ready to be slid into place, the parkway will be fully closed in the summer of 2026 for approximately 3 weeks. Using a combination of conventional and explosive demolition, the existing bridge will be removed and the new bridge slid into place on new foundations. Once the new bridge is tied in at both ends to the existing roadway, traffic can be reopened with 2 lanes of traffic again moving in each direction across the new bridge. As a final phase, the debris beneath the bridge will be removed and the site restored. Building the bridge to the south will have limited impacts to some of the elements underneath the bridge, as I'll talk about here. This image shows a temporary realignment of Commercial Street under the interstate bridge, which will be required for up to 2 construction seasons due to the need to build one of the temporary foundations within the existing Commercial Street pavement area. The 9-mile run trail beneath the bridge will remain open as much as possible, but portions of the trail will need to be temporarily relocated during construction to ensure the safety of the Frick Park trail users. Before the bridge is slid into place, there is some important work on both approaches that is also included in this project. The roadway widening on the approaches will require some temporary lane closures to allow the construction of a large retaining wall southwest of the existing bridge on the eastbound side, as well as the foundations for 2 new sign structures. However, The overall impacts and traffic disruptions to the traveling public for this work will still be far less through the proposed slide-in construction process. PennDOT has prepared a brief video that will walk through in more detail the anticipated construction sequence for this unique project. Here you can see the bridge just to the east of the Squirrel Hill tunnels, crossing over Frick Park, Commercial Street, and 9 Mile Run. Early construction tasks include building new foundations and wing walls beneath and next to the existing bridge, as well as a temporary causeway to access both sides of 9 Mile Run while protecting the stream from debris and pollutants. As I mentioned earlier, Commercial Street and the 9 Mile Run trail will be realigned where it passes beneath the bridge so it doesn't conflict with the temporary foundations. The new bridge will then be constructed on the temporary foundations, first the steel as shown, and then a concrete bridge deck will be poured on top. The new bridge will have wider shoulders to meet current design criteria, and to accommodate these, wider pavement and overhead signs will be required on both ends. Commercial Street and the Frick Park Trail below the bridge will be closed to vehicular and pedestrian traffic in advance of the complete closure of the parkway. Installation of temporary tie cables and bracing is anticipated to stabilize the bridge during the slide. When the new bridge has been prepared for sliding, the parkway will be closed to traffic. The construction contract provides 25 days for this closure. During the closure, it will be removed through a combination of conventional and explosive demolition. And after the debris has been removed around the new foundations, it'll be slid into place. Now we'll zoom in on one of the bridge approaches. The construction of the approach tie-ins at each end of the new bridge will be expedited using precast concrete pieces and high early strength concrete to connect them together. The new bridge can be slid into place, as we mentioned, and then additional precast and high early strength concrete will be used to accelerate the construction, which is a common practice. Once this approach construction work is complete and the roadway has been fully reestablished, the parkway will be once again opened to traffic. With traffic back on the bridge, the contractor can focus concurrently below the bridge on restoring Commercial Street to its original alignment, continuing to remove the debris remaining from the demolished bridge, and removing the causeway to restore 9 Mile Run stream to its previous condition. In addition, a tree restoration plan will ensure that any trees removed to construct the new bridge will be replaced on a one-for-one basis to restore and enhance the overall Frick Park setting in the vicinity of the bridge. Ultimately, the signature arched delta frame bridge will serve to commemorate the legacy of its concrete arch predecessor. The long spans of its steel arched frames will also provide an open, airy feel to enhance the Frick Park experience for trail users and motorists alike. The bridge color, as well as pier details, were actually selected through a public poll conducted in 2023. Up above for motorists, the new bridge will provide wider medians and outside shoulders to meet current criteria, improving safety and functionality of the bridge. With the new bridge designed for at least a 100-year lifespan, it'll be an attractive transportation asset to the region for generations to come. During the complete closure of the parkway, PennDOT will closely coordinate with the City of Pittsburgh, Allegheny County, and the Pennsylvania Turnpike Commission to establish a series of local and regional detours that will mitigate the impacts of the parkway closure. So part of this mitigation plan will also involve strategic placement of police along the detour routes to help direct traffic and manually regulate signal operations during peak traffic conditions. While we know there's no good time for a complete closure of the parkway, we're confident that through these measures, combined with lessons learned during the complete closure of the parkway that was undertaken during the Greenfield Bridge replacement, PennDOT can maintain reasonable traffic flow with minimal disruption during this closure. Though the permanent property impacts for this project will be minimal, will be required to carry out the construction of the new bridge, the demolition of the existing bridge, and to provide areas for contractor trailers, equipment, and material storage. So as indicated by the color shading here, approximately 10 acres of this temporary easement will be secured from the city of Pittsburgh, which is shown in orange. 2 acres will be secured from the URA, the Urban Redevelopment Authority, and that's shaded in blue. And about 1 acre of temporary easement will be secured from the Irish Center property, which is shaded in green here. In addition, a sum total of approximately 0.6 acres of permanent drainage easement will be secured to allow for maintenance of proposed drainage ditches and stormwater management control. PennDOT will closely coordinate with the Department of Environmental Protection throughout construction of the new bridge so that the most appropriate environmental protection measures are implemented to ensure the water quality of the 9-mile run stream is maintained. In addition, PennDOT has coordinated with Frick Park and the City of Pittsburgh to develop a tree restoration and landscape enhancement plan. As you'll hear, proposed construction operations focus on maintaining trail access during construction as much as possible, with some need to temporarily relocate portions of the trail during construction to ensure the safety of the Frick Park trail users.
Hello, I'm Michelle Shesky, and I'm a Senior Project Manager for FAE S&B USA Construction. We are the general contractor on the Commercial Street Bridge project. To give you some background on our company, FAE was founded in Pittsburgh in 1947 and has been doing regional infrastructure projects for over 75 years. We operate throughout the Mid-Atlantic region, but have completed the majority of our projects in the Pittsburgh area, many with PennDOT and HDR. Recent projects shown include the I-579 CAP project in downtown Pittsburgh, the Jerome Street Bridge project in McKeesport, the I-79-279 rehabilitation project, the Chartiers Bridge replacement, and the Roads and Bridges project for the new Pittsburgh International Airport. We have expertise in providing value engineering and accelerated construction delivery methods. In addition, we come to this project with extensive experience in demolition. FAE has been providing demolition services since our inception and have done many large and complex demolition projects all over the country. We are excited to be part of this historic project and hope to provide a quality product for both PennDOT and the region. I will now provide you with a brief overview of the schedule and upcoming impacts that will occur over the next 3 years. Work will begin this year in 2024. Currently, there is advanced ramp work being done for the future detour route, requiring the closure of exit 78B for Wilkinsburg on the eastbound side of the parkway. This work will finish at the end of this week, returning the ramp to regular service. Later this year, we will also be relocating a section of Commercial Street and 9-mile trail as shown in the picture. The relocated section of the trail will run along the side of Commercial Street. During the construction phase, a temporary protective trail cover will be in place where the trail passes under the new structure. Within the next month, you will see us begin clearing trees and brush from within the construction limits in preparation for the construction of the new bridge. This work will result in the closure of the unofficial mountain bike trail located along the hillside of the abutment nearest the Squirrel Hill Tunnel. The trail users will be able to use the relocated 9-mile trail to cross through the construction area instead. In 2025, you will start to see more work taking place. We will be constructing the piers and abutments for the new bridge. This work will be done below the bridge and will not impact traffic. There will be work for the ITS, which will require a single overnight closure of I-376 westbound from 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. We will also be implementing weeknight single-lane restrictions on I-376 eastbound from 9 p.m. until 2 p.m. the next day for the construction of a new retaining wall. Later in the year, we will be reconstructing the median barrier for the eastern side of the tunnel. This will only result in lane shifts with no closures or impacts to the number of travel lanes. Around September, there will be 9 overnight full closures of I-376 eastbound from 9 p.m. until 5 a.m. for the delivery of structural steel. These closures will allow us to lift the beams down to the work area as shown in the picture, eliminating the need to route deliveries through the local roads to Commercial Street. In 2026, we will finish constructing the superstructure of the new bridge. You'll be able to see this from the parkway, but it will not impact traffic. We will have 10 weekend-long single-lane closures of I-376 eastbound for shoulder widening, occurring from 9 p.m. Friday until 5 a.m. Monday. Similarly, we will also have 1 weekend-long single-lane closure for the westbound side. We will also be installing new overhead sign structures in ITS, which will require 1 single full weekend-long closure of both I-376 eastbound and westbound. This outage will occur from 9 p.m. Friday until 5 a.m. Monday. And finally, the largest impact, and probably one that everyone is waiting for, will be the full closure of the parkway in both directions from interchanges 74 to 77. This will occur in July of 2026, lasting for a duration of 3 to 4 weeks. During that time, we will be demoing the old bridge and sliding the newly constructed bridge into place. At the end of the shutdown, the public will have a brand new structure to travel on, with all lanes open in both directions. Later in the year, we will also relocate Commercial Street and the 9-mile trail back to their original locations. In 2027, the majority of the construction will be complete. We will have some final grading to do around the new structure. We will also reestablish the stream, install new stormwater management structures, and complete the new plantings of trees and grass, restoring the area back to a green space.
Thank you, Nick and Michelle, for providing such great information throughout today's presentation. I hope the attendees found it useful and informative of what to expect over the next several years of this construction project. We plan to have another public event prior to the full closure and demolition and move of the new structure in 2026. So keep an eye out for that. In the meantime, we'll be working behind the scenes with the local community, emergency services, and public officials to make sure everyone's informed and prepared for what's to come with the full closure of the parkway for several weeks. One way for you to stay informed in the project is to sign up for our email distribution list that we have for the Parkway East traffic advisories and construction updates. You can get on that list by emailing Yasmin Manisha. Her email's at the top of the screen there. And in the subject line, just place subscribe to Parkway East. And she'll make sure that you're always on that list whenever those emails go out. We also have a Commercial Street Bridge website on our department website. We'll be continually updating that. If you'd like to keep an eye on that and refer to that every so often, you can scan that QR code on the side of the screen. That will take you right to that website. And certainly we'll be providing information there that'll keep you updated throughout the life of the job. We're now going to look to begin the question and answer portion of today's presentation. Hopefully folks have been putting questions into the chat. And you can continue to do so throughout this portion as well, and we'll gather those up and answer those accordingly. You'll be hearing from both myself and Michelle again, and I want to introduce you to Bill Gross from HDR. He'll be on the line to answer any design-oriented questions that we may have. With that, please give us a few minutes here to combine those and make the transition over, and we'll be back to answer questions. Thank you. All right, thank you everyone for asking some questions here. We're going to start filtering through them and answering them one by one. You probably can't see those questions right now as attendees, but we're going to publish the question as we're asking it, and then we'll be addressing it verbally.
All right, John, the first question is related to commercial street closing, and there's quite a few questions about that. But prior to and during the slide, will commercial street be closed at the same time as the parkway?
So yes, prior to the full closure of the parkway, commercial street will be closed in preparation for the demolition in the slide. It will remain closed during the parkway closure and will stay closed as well throughout several months after to address final cleanup and site restoration and reinstallation of the road.
All right, the next question is about the open air field that will enhance the new view of the park. Can you talk a bit about how that might affect the highway noise for people who live above the bridge and how noise reduction from the parkway is being considered as part of the construction plan? There's also several other questions about noise.
Yeah, so as per the Code of Federal Regulations for the Commercial Street Bridge project, this was classified as a Type 3 project. Type 3 projects are not eligible for noise analysis because they're essentially a roadway or bridge project on the same alignment. The only time we consider a noise analysis for a project is when we're widening or increasing the number of travel lanes on a highway. And certainly, if you have any further questions about that, you can reach out to us directly via our website for questions, and we can provide you the documentation that explains those classifications between various projects. The project does not have any sound walls on it. One thing I will note is I was actually below the structure today, and the new bridge will only have 2 expansion dams at each abutment. We'll be eliminating 3 mid-span expansion dams, which will reduce the noise below from that. And quite honestly, I could hear more traffic from Commercial Street as they pass by. For those that live above the structure, yeah, there should be minimal change in noise from what you experienced today. However, I will also note the new bridge deck will have longitudinal grooving, which also reduces tire noise from vehicles. So that should also help with some of the noise experienced around the bridge.
All right, the next question is about coordination with other projects. Can you advise if coordination with DOMI on the rehabilitation of the Charles Anderson Bridge, which is slated to be completed in 2026, has been considered for the project start date? And also advise if coordination on Bates Street widening project will also be done.
So yes, we'll be working with DOMI on Charles Anderson. That is correct. That's slated to be reopened in late 26. So there will be some overlap between our closure and their closure. There's no direct connection between detour routes, but there will be some interaction there to make sure we do the best we can to keep traffic flowing with both structures down at the same time. As far as the potential future work along Bates Street, that's still in very early preliminary design. There's no specific details for that as of this time, and it's very unlikely that that would be in construction state while we're working on the Commercial Street structure.
All right, the next question is just wondering whether or not we're going to be sharing tonight's presentation.
So yes, tonight's presentation will be posted in the next day or two on our website. The video from today's presentation will be there and made available as well.
All right, following up with wondering whether upstream Pittsburgh has been involved with the environmental impacts of the bridge and 9 Mile Run and use of salt.
So yes, upstream Pittsburgh was consulted and reviewed all of our plans and worked with us through design for both the temporary disturbance of 9 Mile Run under the structure with the causeway and cross
crossover for construction vehicles. And then the final restoration of the creek to make sure it's in better shape than it is today within this area was also reviewed by them and approved. As far as salt runoff, you know, the existing bridge really isn't increasing the footprint, but what I will say is the drainage from that area goes down into a rain garden, which will help filter that water prior to entering the stream. So that'll help alleviate some of those concerns. And again, Upstream Pittsburgh was involved in that decision.
All right, there was a technical term that was used, or an abbreviation of a technical term, ITS. Someone was asking what that means.
So ITS is what we refer to for all of our information technology systems along the parkway. So that's the fiber optic lines that manage not just our camera systems, but also our traffic counts on the interstate, as well as the overheight truck system for the tunnel to ensure that overheight vehicles are stopped prior to entering the tunnel. So that's basically what that would involve, is all those types of pieces of equipment.
Here's a specific question about closures. What will the hours of the 9 overnight closures be? I thought that it was mentioned that it was 9 p.m. to 2 p.m.
Steel closures will be 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. for the steel delivery.
And then we have 9 permitted restrictions where, yes, we will be reducing the parkway outbound from 9 p.m. through the morning rush to 2 p.m. So we would have it reopened by the following p.m. rush. So there's 9 of those, and that's really to perform the retaining wall work just outside the tunnel before you access the bridge. That'll allow us to do some operations during the day to, again, help maybe mitigate some of the noise to the residents in the area from overnight.
Then you're asking where that new retaining wall would also be.
Yeah, so again, that's just as you're approaching the structure itself. If you've ever looked there driving through, you'll notice there's a large slope that quickly drops off. So there'll be a retaining wall there to help shore up the interstate shoulder for realigning there and hitting the new bridge.
Someone is asking if there's any connection between this new bridge and the extension of the Monfayette Expressway.
So no, the Monfayette, while that's not been finalized or detailed, it's not intended to come up through this area. I know it was many years ago a proposal to possibly come up and connect to the parkway here, but there's at this time no plans for the turnpike to connect anywhere near here on the Parkway East.
Someone else is asking if there will be any simultaneous maintenance occurring during the closure, like tunnel projects or paving elsewhere in that area.
Great question, and absolutely. We have intentions with some future parkway projects, as well as potentially any tunnel maintenance, to take advantage of this closure to its full extent to knock out other operations as well. So we'll be coordinating those projects and those contractors to try and take advantage of this closure of the parkway and get a lot of good improvements done through the corridor.
There's a question about the closures and how it's going to impact school buses.
So yes, we will we'll work with the school districts in the area. I think a lot of the city folks are riding the PRT, but we'll be working with them closely, and then some of the other surrounding municipalities that might see some additional traffic. We'll work with them as well. The good news is the full closure, again, is tentatively set for July of 26. So schools will not be in session at that time for that. But maybe some of these other delays that you may experience or some traffic restrictions, like I was mentioning earlier, that involve earlier in the day, we'll verify that that doesn't affect any of them.
How is construction being coordinated with the URA's mitigation of the slag heap on the east and south end of the bridge? Their timeline is during the same period, and they have proposed using a trail to transport that material.
Yes, We are very familiar with their proposed plans. We've met with them several times already about their access to the site and preparation for their solar installation. So we are very aware of their intents, and we've been working closely with them to make sure both parties, department and URA, are satisfied with production.
Next question, were photometrics conducted on the higher sign structures and their potential impacts on the adjacent homes?
The sign structures shouldn't be changing in elevation. The issue is the shoulder of the parkway is getting larger, and as such, the foundation needs to be relocated for it, and the sign structure widened. The sign footprint on it will remain the same. The signs will be the same. There's no additional items that will be installed on those. It's really just to lengthen the width of the sign structure.
How do we go about getting noise abatement for the Swiss Home Park side of the parkway? This is from a resident there. Squirrel Hill had some installed a few years back, and it significantly increased the parkway noise on our side.
I would ask that you probably reach out to us following up with this, and we can look into that further with you directly to address your concerns or questions.
There's a couple questions about the actual dates and closures for project.
So again, we don't have a specific date yet, just because it's nearly 2 years out. As previously mentioned, 2 to 3 months before the full closure, we will have another event like this where we will be able to share those specific dates with you. But what I can tell you is it will be in July of 26, barring any major issues with the project. That is the month of the closure.
Has signage for 9 Mile Run been included on the new bridge design? Many bridges throughout Pennsylvania have signs denoting the water body that they cross.
It's a great question. There's nothing in our project for that, but we can certainly investigate that. And I have seen those signs in my travels around here in other states, so we can look into that.
And there's a question about demolition debris and how it's going to be contained.
Yes, so the demolition is going to be a combination of conventional and blasting methods. And typically when we blast, we do have wraps that go around the bridge to keep that material contained. We also make sure that it's properly charged so that it doesn't have a truly explosive demolition. It'll pretty much fall to the ground.
And I can promise everyone on here, our new bridge is closer than anything else out there. So yes, we're in the same league as you. We want to make sure that the blast is contained and causes as little damage to the surrounding area as possible. And in that future meeting, we will have much more information to share about the demolition process.
Another question for Michelle. Will we be working around the clock 24/7 during the July closure?
Yes, we will be 24/7.
What equipment will be used to shift the heavy new bridge into place?
So it'll be specialty equipment, basically a specialty slide equipment that includes hydraulic jacks, and it'll move the entire bridge structure into place.
And again, in that future presentation, prior to the move, we'll have some good information to share about that, and probably even some animations to show how that functions.
Kind of related to that, will the existing bridge foundations be completely removed or just covered over?
So I think they're removed several feet below final grade. So they will be demolished to that point, but unfortunately, due to the depths of them, you can't physically remove them completely, but they will be well below grade.
All right, someone said that they needed a little further explanation on the retaining wall location. They didn't quite understand what was said. They asked if we could show it on a map or have a photo. Is that something that could do later?
Let me pull back some slides here. Maybe I can find one that shows a good position of it. If you can see the screen here, so the Squirrel Hill tunnels are to your left and Monroeville to the east. So right here, as you exit the Squirrel Hill tunnels, eastbound, approaching the structure, there'll be a retaining wall right here along this slope. And certainly, again, if you want to follow up through our website, we can share some more details with you about what that would look like. It'll be a soldier pile lagging retaining wall. So we drill into the ground, we set steel piles into those holes and fill them with concrete. And then we slide precast concrete panels in between those piles and then backfill behind it.
And the last question I have as of now is how we've coordinated with local communities to avoid local construction on the detour routes.
If you mean, is anybody else going to work on our detour routes? So when we approach that detour phase, we'll be working with utilities and certainly other contracts to make sure there is no other work on those routes. And again, as we mentioned in the presentation, we'll be modifying and analyzing all the traffic signals along that route and staging off-duty police officers at those signals as well to help keep traffic moving. We're also going to work with the city and other large businesses within the city central and try and encourage a lot of teleworking during this period. That will also help us to reduce traffic volumes in and around on the detour routes as best possible. So we'll be encouraging that, really quite honestly throughout multiple groups and agencies. Okay, we got another question.
Oh, you said another question.
We're about to finish it up here.
Can we please share again the rerouting of traffic when the full closure happens? What exits will folks be directed to?
So again here, so the primary detour inbound Parkway is to exit off at the currently closed Wilkinsburg exit. You take that down to Route 8 Penn Ave and then run that to 5th Ave and get back onto the Parkway just outside Oakland there. And conversely, in the opposite direction, you'll have the same scenario. Traffic will be routed up Forbes Avenue, out to Penn, and then back to the Parkway East in the Wilkinsburg area. So that is the posted detour there. We also have posted detours to try and keep folks from even getting to that point along the turnpike and those areas to encourage folks to take the turnpike to Route 28 and come in on Route 28. And then we also have some farther out detours, so things like the airport, to continue on the turnpike out to 79 as well.
Maybe on that same map, it might be a different one. Can you provide the locations of the two endpoints for the closing of Commercial Forward Avenue?
That's not shown on here, but we don't want traffic coming down to the bridge and area and having to turn around. So they will be more on top of the hills in the neighborhood sections. So probably up at the Somerset area up there. And usually what we do is we'll post road closed, local traffic only. So, certainly, like, I know there's some discussions with the development of the Irish Center from Phipps. If they want to get down to there, they will still be able to access down there. But we don't want to encourage folks to come down and have to turn around, come back out. And on the other side, same thing, probably up near some of those residents at the top of the hill, try and isolate a road closure up there, keep folks from coming down, but you will still be able to come down to some of the trail parking lots there during the closure.
We have a question coming in about the bridge design on whether it will hold 3 times the expected weight, similar to other similar civil engineering projects, because traffic stops on the bridge.
It will be designed to meet all national and state requirements for bridge structures built at this time. The exact multiplier of the weight, it's not quite a straightforward answer, but it will be built safely to the code requirements of today.
Will the trail parking lot be closed at all?
No, the trail parking lot will remain open. The one caution I would have is that the URA development wants to use that as access for their site as well. I believe they'll be able to do that and still maintain parking there. But just be mindful of that there may be some trucks entering and exiting that location during their development. And I don't know the full timeline of that just yet either. During our closure, they may be done with that access to that site. So we'll continue to work with them through that, but the parking is open.
I have a couple more questions that just came in. With the previous closure, there was a road sign placed in my front yard on Commercial Street. Can signs like that be restricted to the sidewalk or road instead?
Yeah, absolutely. Our intent is not to put those in anyone's yard. So as we get to that point, again, if something should happen like that, you can reach out to us directly and we'll make sure we get it moved. We'll also work with our traffic control company to make sure that they're not doing that from the get-go.
And there's 2 kind of related questions. First one is definitely for Michelle. Will most of the demolition construction vehicles be going down forward or going westward on Commercial? And then what roads will you be transporting on?
Most of the deliveries will come either directly off 376 onto our access road, or they'll come down Forward Avenue to our access road off Forward Avenue. Probably won't see much through Commercial Street into Swiss Vale.
And as indicated in Michelle's presentation too, like the steel will be lowered from above off the parkway, off the structure, the existing structure. So none of that will be passing through neighborhoods either.
Will the Swiss Vale Edgewood off-ramp westbound still be open for local traffic?
So yes, as coming westbound on the parkway, traffic will be encouraged to exit at Wilkinsburg, but there will be a single lane open down to the Swiss Vale exit. And I know in previous tunnel closures and parkway closures, there's been some issues with that, with trucks and vehicles as well, thinking of that as a shortcut. So we'll be working with state police and local police to help mitigate some of that and make sure that that's not causing any problems to that area of the community.
How will traffic be affected on Commercial Street prior to the closure?
So really minimally. Again, later this fall, we'll start constructing the relocated Commercial Street. And so it might just be a few minute stoppages here as trucks are pulling in and out of that area and paving. And then by late fall, we'll be moving traffic over onto that temporary relocated road. Outside of that, it'll be maintained for the most part. You might experience a few stoppages if we're setting steel over the road and things like that. So you may experience a few short-term stoppages. But really, that's it until the as discussed earlier, the planned closure of the parkway and the move of the structure. That's really the biggest impact to restricting Commercial Street.
All right, another question. Will there be any on-site acknowledgement of the existing bridge?
Yes, as part of the Section 106 consultation, we do have planned a decorative panel that's going to be installed as part of the overall site restoration plan to pay respect to the clay within Frick.
Another question just came in. Are you using locally made steel?
We're using domestically made steel, so that'll be coming in, but it will not be made locally. Some of the smaller pieces will be made locally, but the structure itself is domestic to the United States, but will not be made locally.
Right. I think what's the last question for now, unless we get a few more. But even though the official detour will be Wilkinsburg and Oakland exits, is there anything to keep mapping services from routing people to other exits?
Yes, so we can work with those different mapping services to ensure they know what our detours are. We have great interaction with them for our various closures and getting those put into systems. So working with them to encourage motorists to use that posted detour is something that we can certainly work with them and encourage that. Okay. So at this time, last call. If you have any questions, now's the time. If not, again, I've left this on the screen here for ways for you to get a hold of us moving forward. I want to thank everybody for attending today and asking some questions. Certainly appreciate the feedback, and we'll be following up with you in the future here as we approach 2026. The summer of 2026 to make sure that we get you further details about the closure. Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.